Today's Evening First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
All right. Good Monday evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with your weather update. As we've had a pretty active stretch of weather here for the last several days, we have, of course, some wind to talk about tonight. The wind gusts are finally starting to come down for most of Mid-Michigan, and also appears that we've got a couple of chances for snow the next couple of days. I wouldn't call them significant chances for snow, not to the level where we're going to have any winter storm warnings or anything like that. But a few areas will pick up a couple of inches the next couple of days, and also we're not going to get rid of the breezy conditions, but it won't be to the level of what we have seen today. So here's where things stand right now. We do have what appears to be some wind gusts between about 25 and 35 miles per hour over most of the area. Still a bit breezy the closer to the lakeshore you get. I think if you're in an area like eastern Huron County, eastern Sanilac County, and occasionally in a few areas downwind of the Saginaw Bay, maybe getting a few strong wind gusts here and there as we go through the next several hours, but I think you'll eventually drop off just like everybody else does. I think eventually you'll start to see some of those gusts come down into about the 40-mile-per-hour range, and then I think you'll gradually start to drop off. While everybody else is 25 to 35, you may be roughly about 10 miles per hour more than that. So you're going to slow down a little bit less than everybody else, but we are making progress. The wind advisory that was issued a little bit earlier on, that is now history. And it also appears that we've got the winter storm warning that is still ongoing in Clare County. So let me just get some information on that. That was supposed to expire at about 7 o'clock. It looks like the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has decided to continue that until midnight. So let me just take a look at that. Looks like they're allowing the possibility of maybe some snowfall accumulations up to about an inch or so, and winds gusting to as high as about 40 miles per hour. So I think this is primarily due more to the fact that we've had some blowing snow issues. I think also Clare County is at the point where we've had significant stress on the trees from the rain on Friday, freezing to the tree limbs. We've also had additional freezing rain on Sunday, and then we've had the wind today. And so I think that in combination with the snow and blowing snow that's been around, I think that's why Clare County, you are still under the winter storm warning, but that is only until midnight at this point. We'll see if it's extended even further than that. So going right into the wind gust future cast here, I think we're doing a little bit better than projections. But I would still expect the possibility of those gusts between about 30 and 40, even if it's on more of a scattered scale as we go through the rest of the early parts of this evening. I think as we head towards midnight, you'll start to see more progress. I think eventually into the overnight hours as we get closer to the Tuesday morning commute, or what would traditionally be the Tuesday morning commute for those of you who have the week off maybe, or at least the days leading up to the new year off. Probably looking at a significant drop tomorrow morning. Now, again, if you're in the lakeshore areas, Port Hope still being projected for about 35, 40 miles per hour tomorrow morning. Do not be surprised if it's still a little bit breezy there, but we should be in much better shape tomorrow compared to today. It's really tough to get rid of the wind this time of year, and so I think we're still looking at gusts between about 25 and 35 through the day tomorrow. But I think compared to some of those gusts that we saw today between about 50 and 60 at times, do think it'll be a little bit easier to get through from 25 to 35 when you're cutting some of those almost in half. Now, I was hoping by the time we started our live stream tonight that we would get some updates on some of the peak wind gusts across the area. Have not seen that come through yet. But as soon as we get that, we'll be happy to share that with you. The strongest gusts that I saw when I was in the office this afternoon was 51 in Saginaw for an inland location, and then Port Hope was up to, I believe, about 58. But I would not be shocked if Port Hope, if you eclipsed that 60-mile-per-hour range at some point today. Maybe I can look at that manually really quick just to see. But I'm waiting and anxiously waiting for those to come in, so I can see that. But the fact that we are gusting still around 51 tonight, I think is pretty impressive. So just at a manual look, it looks like Port Hope was up to about 58 twice this afternoon. Looks like about 355, and looks like we also had a 58-mile-per-hour gust at about 255. So we're not to that point yet, but still seeing some gusts around 50 miles per hour in Port Hope. Now, the lake effect snow, that is starting to wind down here as far as the intensity in most areas, still getting some good bands here and there. We'll zoom into this one right here on the northeastern side of Lapeer County. As you look towards Brown City, it looks like we've got some decent snowfall rates there. We'll just put a pause there. Right in that dark blue shaded area, that region seems like we've got some snow squall activity ongoing. Also seems like for some of our northern county friends that we've got some stronger lake effect snow bands currently cutting from Lake Michigan to about the northwest side of Roscommon County. So some accumulations there, certainly not impossible. It seems like we're still chugging away at some of the lake effect snow, but if you look towards the big picture of the radar, certainly not as much as we saw earlier today. Put this back into motion so you can actually see that. So I think what you'll see over the next couple of hours is this wind down even more. You get outside of those traditional lake effect spots, I think a lot of this is going to diminish pretty greatly. And so certainly looking like we're moving in the right direction there. Now, as we go into tomorrow, we will have another chance for snow. And so you'll see that lake effect continue for a while longer. By the time we get to about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, it's all pretty much gone. We're waking up to the teens and low 20s tomorrow morning at best, I would say, for the low 20s. But lots of teens as we start your Tuesday. Eventually, we get into the afternoon, we're back in the 20s, but we're still pretty dry at the lunch hour. Eventually, we get towards 4 o'clock and you'll start to see some of that redeveloping. Now, it's going to be interesting the way this snow develops tomorrow. Is you see that we've got the lake effect that is happening on the west side of the state. But then you've got this area right here, and then you've also got what appears to be this area of no man's land where we've got no snow happening at all or very little. And even as we go towards Tuesday evening, I think you'll start to see a lot of this eventually fill in. But eventually also what you're going to see is this area still gets left out. So it's an area from about Clare, Gladwin, Aranac, up through about the M55 corridor where there's really just not a lot happening. Now, this isn't perfect. This is a model simulation. But I think if you're in any of these areas here, I think your expectations for snowfall, depending on how things trend, if we have any changes, of course, Diane will have that update tomorrow morning before this all gets started. But it seems like that area in particular is just kind of between snowfalls. We get that area that is filling in around the thumb, these areas to the south around the Bay region, and then you've got the lake effect to the west and just not much right there in the northwestern half. So I think that's worth watching for tomorrow. We still get some snow through about midnight or so, and then it tapers off pretty quickly after that. Wednesday morning, we start to dry out pretty considerably, but don't get used to that. We're also in a pretty active pattern to where we are going to get this snow, and then we're going to get a break from that. And then another round comes through on Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, and it looks like some of those snow showers could have some squall-like tendencies as well. So I would say over the next couple of days, it's possible that some of us pick up a couple of inches of snow. I would say if you pick up about 1 to 2 each day, well, of course, what does that add up to? About 2 to 4 inches over the course of a couple of days. I would say more of us would probably be closer to the 2-inch side of that compared to the 4. But the hardest hit areas may be up in that 3 to 4 inch range. So that's kind of what we're looking at as we go through the next couple of days here. Here's a look at the snowfall forecast just through tomorrow. Let me just simplify it just through tomorrow, and I'll see if I can get this to go out just a shade further. Let's take this out. I think it'll still be ongoing at 10 o'clock, so let's do our due diligence and take it out to Wednesday. We'll just cut through Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning just to get a full picture here. And now that I can exit out of that, let's give it another run through. You should see snowfall totals. There you go. So about 1 to 2 inches of snow. I think some of those that are going over that mark, maybe a little bit too much. Typically coming from the northwest, there's a little bit of less moisture to work with on this round. So I think most of us are between 1 to 2, but you know, what's a couple of tenths there? I think what it does is it paints a nice picture of where I think the heaviest snow would be. So let's just call it a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 type snow. I think that's what you pick up as you go towards Wednesday morning, and then a little bit more will chug away on Wednesday and add to the totals just a little bit more. Not ready to go out to Wednesday's totals just yet, just because I think the model that I'm projecting here gets a little noisy the farther out in time you go. And what I mean by noisy is just the errors kind of compound a little bit. So I think this is a reasonable place to stop tomorrow, picking up a couple of inches of snow. And like we mentioned before, if I take the little pointer here, very little happens in this area right here. So I'd say probably an inch or less if you're generally north of US 10 and you're outside of those lake effect zones. I think if you're in an area like Mount Pleasant, you could probably expect that too. And these areas could probably use a bit of a break. Unfortunately, still dealing with some of the after effects from some of the ice storms that happened Friday and also Sunday. The thing about Sunday that was pretty interesting is the fact that I was doing at least a little bit of work on Saturday from home out of the office last week, and just taking a quick look at things, it was going to be a close call because typically this time of year we get some of these warm fronts that struggle a little bit to get farther to the north, and that one really stalled out. And so if you take a look at the consumer's outage map here, you can clearly see right up in this area around Mount Pleasant to the north into Clare County, we have a ton of outages. And it was really that area that got hit hardest. You do go to the south a little bit, you can see some popping up here and there. But it's this area right here where we just did not melt a lot of that moisture off the power lines and things like that. And then, of course, we had 2 days of that, not just Friday, but also added a little bit more over the weekend because we just didn't get that warm up. Going into Sunday, a lot of those temperatures above freezing held south of Clare County. And unfortunately, this is the position we're in as we go into the next several days. And unfortunately, if I pull up the 7-day, there's really not a lot of warmth here. And so the question becomes, I'm sure there is a strategy from Consumers Energy. They are the professionals and they would know far better than I do. But we're not looking at any manual ice removal from those lines anytime soon. We've got temps that are in the 20s the next couple of days. We've got New Year's Day that's in the teens. And we've got Friday in the low 20s, mid 20s this weekend, maybe getting close to freezing on Monday. But unless, again, there might be a treatment that I don't know about, I'm sure consumers will be doing everything they can. But in the absence of that, there's not going to be, again, much melting of the lines just by air temperature the next several days. So that might be a question I'll have to ask consumers. How do they work in conditions like this to get some of that ice off the lines? If anybody from Consumers is watching, anyone watching from DTE, I would love to know what that solution would be. I can learn something on these live streams as well. But a lot of times during freezing rain events that I've had over the years, even if it's cold for the next 24 hours, we've been lucky where we've had some warm-ups that follow. And this week, it just isn't happening. And we didn't get that benefit on Sunday in some of those areas that were further to the north. I was lucky at my house. It was a close call. Still had some ice on the trees at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But by the time we lost daylight, it seemed like we got enough ice off the trees to avoid some big issues. But definitely a bad situation up there. So let me take a look at the comments. Kayla, Fire Up Chips, one of my friends from CMU, good to see you on the chat. We are waiting for snowmen making snow. Absolutely, my daughter is as well. How is this for kind of a kick in the shin? Is she got a snow saucer for sledding for Christmas. And we got all of our snow at the beginning of the month. So talk about some bad luck there. But yeah, hopefully we get some additional snow for the kids who want to play outside, for those who are still on holiday break. Let's see what else. Vicky, good to see you. Don't like the snow and I have to drive to Standish for work. Yeah, Sheila. Most of it should hold off until the evening tomorrow. Maybe run into it a little bit on your drive home. But at least the morning. Sherry, are we done with the freezing rain? I don't really see any freezing rain this week. No problem, Joel. New Year's Eve snow. Yeah, it looks like a little bit. Windy. Looks like we've got some lake effect that'll come through. See what else we've got. Veronica, are we getting more snow tonight? I wouldn't say anything significant. We still got some snow showers here and there. Outside of lake effect areas, don't really think so. Travel from Traverse City. Travel to Traverse City from Standish on New Year's Eve will be okay. Depends on that lake effect. I think it could be a little slower going at times. You've got temps that are in the 20s. I think probably typical Michigan winter driving conditions. Let me just take a look at something else really quick. See if I can find. Take one look for you really quick. And Wendy, I've thought about that. A roundtable discussions, trying to get some more ideas on who to do some roundtables with, or just some quick interviews with on quiet weather days. So if anybody has any ideas in the chat, let me know. We've gotten a few already. So if you've already suggested something, I probably have it. Let's see. Yeah, New Year's Eve travel to Traverse City. I'd expect typical Michigan winter driving. I wouldn't necessarily say it looks like it's to the point where you shouldn't travel, but I would expect to run into some lake effect snow if you're going that way. Of course, Susan, no problem. Happy to do the live stream. Chris asks, is this wind going to be calmer tomorrow? Compared to today, yes. Still breezy, though. I would expect some gusts between about 25 and 35, maybe even a little bit higher near the lake. So we'll keep questions going for a little bit longer, but that's pretty much what I've got. Again, I'll pull up the snow predictor here really quick just to give you an idea. I think about an inch or two of snow around the thumb tomorrow, sneaking into the Bay region. I'd say most are within that 1 to 2.5 range. Outside shot at 3. But again, you'll have this area right here, probably a little bit less. It seems like we've got kind of a snow donut going on around the area tomorrow. Awesome. Tina, you are on the chat. Tina, one of my most reliable weather spotters from Harbor Beach, in addition to the bugs, if they're watching. Here in Harbor Beach, the winds have not let up. I was surprised to see the high warning went to an advisory. It's steady, loud, not just gusts. Yeah, I was surprised to see that. At least kind of an area-wide thing. I'm sure there was some good reasoning behind that. I trust those guys at the Weather Service and gals. But yeah, that one was a little surprising to me. And I don't know about anyone else, but those winds last night at my house, right around, I would probably say, 11 o'clock last night, they really started picking up. And Tina, this is exactly what you're talking about right here, is we've got those gusts around 50 miles per hour right along the lakeshore. Anywhere you see that purple shade, so essentially from Port Hope down to Harbor Beach, Port Sanilac, these areas right here, yeah, definitely an ugly. Kimberly, what time will the snow start tomorrow? Let me get this back to you. I would say you could probably expect snow if you're in the snow area. It's not going to be everybody tomorrow, but I would say probably closer to about 4 or 5 o'clock. And again, at the peak, it seems like it'll cover pretty much what this area looks like right here. The thumb, the Bay region, area is a little bit further to the south, and then you've got the area that's right up here that just is kind of between the lake effect and between the system snow. All right, Appreciate everybody watching tonight. We do have the ability to comment on this afterwards. So if you do have a question, I will let you get that in. I'll take a look at the questions here in the next few minutes after the stream. Got to get ready for our 10 o'clock newscast for tonight. We will be back tomorrow night. We'll take a look at what's happening with the snow tomorrow night. We will take a look at what is happening with the snow that comes in on Wednesday as you get ready for your New Year's Eve. And then, of course, we'll be here the rest of the week as well, all the way through Friday. And we'll be here Monday through Friday after the holiday season as well. Hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Anything else that you were celebrating. I hope you have a wonderful New Year. If you're holding off on our streams until next week or later in the week, hopefully you have a great Wednesday and Thursday. Until then, we will see you all a little bit later.